variable in your book.
Trigger and phase variable are the same thing.
No.
Okay.
One of the phase variables is a trigger. So it's going to be the different parts of the breath. So the first one we'll talk about is the trigger. The trigger is what initiates a breath. What kind of breaths can we have from our vent?
Spontaneous.
Patient trigger or vent trigger?
Right, you can have a ventilator triggered or a patient triggered. So we're going to talk about the ventilator triggered one first. So that would be time triggered. So the first one is going to be time triggered. That's when it's time for the ventilator to deliver breath. And what would tell the vent when it's time to do it? What would we set? Yeah, the rate. So this is determined by the respiratory rate. So let me draw this out. So let's say my respiratory rate is 12. Then, Dennis, my respiratory rate is 12. How often is the ventilator going to deliver a breath?
Every 12 seconds?
Every 12 seconds.
12 per minute.
12 breaths in a minute, right?
Yeah.
So how often is a breath going to get delivered? Every 12 seconds? Every 5 seconds, yes. So that is called the total cycle time. So the total cycle time equals 60 divided by your respiratory rate. And the total cycle time is going to be from the start of one inhalation to the start of the next. So this whole area here, and I'm going to abbreviate it as TCT, because that's the total cycle time. So if my rate was 12, then this would be 5 seconds. 5 seconds from here to here, 5 seconds from here to here, 5 seconds from here to the next one. Now what if so that's going to be a rate of 12. Let's take it over here. And let's say our respiratory rate equals 10. Now what's my total cycle time? 6. So this TCT would equal 6 seconds. So now I've got 6 seconds from the start of one breath to the start of the next. Everybody with me so far? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're going to talk about the triggers, but I also have to talk about other things that fall within here so you understand how all this works. Within the total cycle time, I have inspiration and expiration happening. So the way I've drawn this out, this is inhalation, this is exhalation, this is inhalation, this is exhalation. You'll learn that this is a pressure waveform, but just so you know what we're looking at, that I've drawn here. So this is what we know as inspiratory time, and this is going to be expiratory time. So the inspiratory time plus the expiratory time, guess what? They equal the total cycle time. So I'm going to start putting these as I time and E time. I time is inspiratory time, E time is expiratory time. So the I time plus the E time equal the total cycle time. So if my I time, this is a horrible marker. It's not gonna help me at all. So if my I time equals 1 second, what does my E time equal? 4. Yep. So my E time equals 4 seconds, because they're always going to equal the total cycle time. It's different from the ratio. We'll explain that in a minute. So this is time. You'll see something else called the IE ratio, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I time is expressed in seconds. So I time and E time. Is that me? Sorry. Just let me make sure it's not. Okay. So what about over here? If my I time over here is 1 second, what's my E time now? 5 seconds. So if I decrease my respiratory rate, which is what we did over here, and we left the I time the same, we actually gave our patient a longer expiratory time. What about if here my I time was 0.8? That. And we still have the same 5 second. What's my E time now? 4.2. Yep, 4.2. So you just learned the first way to fix air trapping. Why are we calling Jeremy? The answer to everything. Oh! Your favorite answer. I had somebody whose favorite answer was needle decompression. Someone else has a favorite answer of intubate. Fix air trapping. Air trapping is also known as auto-PEEP, also known as intrinsic PEEP. So when you see those terms, they all mean the same thing. Whose is that? Is it yours?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was, did your batteries just die?
No, my memory's full.
Uh-oh, I talk too much.
No, it wasn't you. I do.
Oh, it's Mr. Maddox's fault then. 'Cause he talks way more than I do. So, fix air trapping, also known as intrinsic PEEP or auto PEEP. It's a common problem we see in COPDers and asthma patients. And so it's a common thing we talk about when we talk about how to fix it. The ultimate solution is you need to make your expiratory time longer. But you'll learn that there's no dial on the ventilator that says make my expiratory time longer. So the fix is to make expiratory time longer by, the first one we just did was decrease the I time. So that's one way. So if I make my inspiratory time shorter, it automatically makes my expiratory time longer. You cannot ever go to the ventilator and say, turn up the expiratory time. The button doesn't exist. But I can do that by turning down the inspiratory time. Nick?
You said it was COPD and asthma, common?
Yes. So when you get questions that say, how can you fix auto-peep, or you learn that the patient has auto-peep through the question, it's not make my expiratory time longer. It's decrease my inspiratory time, which will make my expiratory time longer. That's okay. In there in the back.